Wait, what? So this happened. I'm Rachel Velis, and this is the podcast Hell is Not the End, although it feels like just the beginning sometimes. Is anything really the end, though? This podcast is meant to explore the limitless possibilities of one's own soul. Why do people do bad things? Why are there countless happenings beyond understanding? Why, when we are cautioned not to do something, do we just do it anyway? The definition of curiosity, a strong desire to know or learn something. There you have it. I will curiously explore why. Hell is not the end.
Aokigahara is a forest in the northwest flank of Japan's Mount Fuji, spanning about 12 square miles made up of hardened lava, laid down by the last major eruption of Mount Fuji. At the western edge of the forest, there are several caves that fill with ice water. It is a very popular tourist spot. Parts of the forest are very dense, and the porous lava absorbs sound, giving sense of solitude to visitors.
The forest has a very specific historical distinction as home to ghosts of the dead in Japanese mythology. In recent years, the forest has become to be known as Suicide Forest, known for one of the most frequented places for those contemplating and executing suicides. In fact, there are signs posted in certain places discouraging suicide, stating that visitors seek help, to think of their families, and contact a suicide prevention association. It's been claimed that a minimum of 100 suicides per year take place in suicide forests. This is, of course, hard to judge due to the fact that bodies can be discovered years after their suicide takes place, or maybe not even at all. I think it's also fair to mention that suicides in Japan don't carry the same dishonor as it does elsewhere. Seppuku has a long history of samurai ritual suicide that is known as honorable. Not that this is normal practice in the present, but it obviously left its mark. It was a way of taking responsibility in samurai culture. Not only is Japan known for one of the highest suicide rates, but every year continually grows in suicide cases. It seems most suicides have been documented as most mental health and troubles with family. Of course, there are many other reasons for contemplating suicide, but those are the top two reasons. Because the suicide rate is so high, Japan's government is trying to lower the current suicide rates. There are not only signs at the entrance of suicide forests, but surveillance cameras as well to discourage suicidal activity. The forest isn't exactly a smooth walk in the park terrain wise. Even despite the haunting feeling of the forest itself, the ground is treacherously uneven, rocky, and is full of caves. Straight out of a horror flick, right? Since the porous lava absorbs sound, the sense of solitude and isolation does seem to set in. The trees are too close to allow wind to travel between them, and wildlife is so sporadic that you can get the sense of loneliness. Visitors have described the forest as an abyss of emptiness of sorts. Death by hanging is the most commonly used form of suicide. Poisoning is the second, which includes drug overdose. It's not a shock that the forest has become the subject of books, case studies, and maybe even a movie or two. Not hard to believe that many people that have died by suicide in the forest had taken a page or two from certain books detailing on where the perfect place to die would be. Suicides aren't the only dark shadow hovering over the forest. In earlier days, it was said that the most desperate times of famine, the elderly were led into the darkest part of the forest to die of either dehydration, exposure, or starvation. A most horrible form of a kind of euthanasia. Senocide was to help save the rest of the family. There is no proof of this, of course. Just another horrible stain on the most mysterious, wondrous place. It fits in, though, doesn't it? A little all too conveniently, a place where people go by choice to commit suicide because they feel abandoned themselves, where people who were once abandoned and not by their own choice. There are many interpretations of what has gone on during those earlier years. Depending on the storyteller, there are many possible ghosts haunting this forest. The ghosts of Japanese mythology, allowing the souls of the suicides to linger and surround the sad and hopeless visitor, not only to leave the grounds, forcing the lost soul to do what it came to do. Some say there it can be vengeful, even torturing the poor soul that hasn't decided what to do, just ensuring that whoever enters loses their way.
Spooky note: volunteers have been searching the forest since the 1970s annually. They are not there to rescue anyone, but rather assist in the recovery of remains in hopes of giving families the chance of a proper burial for a loved one. Their government doesn't disclose the exact number of remains removed, but the speculated number is disturbing.
Visitors are allowed to camp in the forest, but are often immediately suspected of contemplating suicide by the people in Prevention Patrol. The Prevention Patrol will approach these campers and try to get a feel for their state of mind. The forest is so thick in places after leaving any clear path that it can be fatal. Some will try and mark the area with tape or ribbon in the hopes of not getting lost if they do happen to leave the trail. Especially since the cell phone service isn't the greatest, the tape and ribbon would come in handy. It's a shame that this place has such a stigma. It's actually quite beautiful. A sea of trees, a great view of Mount Fuji, and is filled with enchanting caves. I would suggest staying on the path and to always read signs, as straying from this could lead to disaster. Over the years, there have been many disturbing photos posted on the internet about just how disturbing your actions can be. It's very humanizing knowing that your belongings can be found right after or years after your choice has been made to end your life, for whatever your reason. Strangers are finding your belongings, not your family who has invested time in you. Not to say that your reasons aren't valid or to imply that you messed up your perfect life. No one's life is perfect, and everyone needs help every now and again. Enter the Conspiracy Corner.
It has been said that due to an anomaly in the forest, navigational compasses do not and cannot work. Needles of magnetic compasses will move if directly placed on the lava, aligning with the rock's natural magnetism, which varies in iron content and strength by location. The anomaly has also been blamed for stranding visitors to the point of desperation and hopelessness. What makes a place so special that when you enter it, you have no intention of leaving it? What if you physically cannot leave it?
My hope is that no one has to live in fear, ever. As always, I will never give up and read the signs. Special thanks to all the reading materials I could get my hands on, internet mostly. Thanks to wikipedia.org and mentalfloss.com. Thanks so much for listening. I am Rachel Velis, and this is the podcast, Hell is Not the End.